What's going on, Internet? Kyle here with Variety and Errors and Coin Up for another video bill searching. So, we have a bunch of different denominations of bills, basically just stuff from a wallet, and collecting in spare cash throughout the day or over the weekend. Hope you're having a great weekend. Let's get right to it. So, starting off in the top, we have a $20 bill. It's Series 2013. A lot of bills in 2013 we know from other videos I've made and ones you see on the interwebs, that the third digit in the serial number has a lot of the times it's not uncommon for it to have heavy inking on the third numeral in the serial number. Prefixes with them, I'll talk about them in a separate video about prefixes and suffixes of serial numbers and what they stand for. But in this case, we'll be looking for errors that are with the serial numbers, the bill itself, or fancy serial numbers that are collectible and maybe at a premium to the face value. In this case, they match up, the serial numbers do in that regard. As far as printing, I don't see anything askew on the actual print of the bill. And I have another video that's going to talk about what's on the bill itself. We'll kind of shoot through some of these. So, what these stand for, what this number up here stands for, how you figure out where on the actual sheet that this bill was. That's a little bit confusing for some people, and the order of printing is a little weird from the Bureau of Printing and Engraving. So we'll talk about that in another video. Nothing that I've found a couple star notes previously, but nothing that I really was super collectible or to like call home about. In this case, what we're looking for with serial numbers, as you know, is stuff that's repetitive numbers, patterns, things that could be read upside down or right side up, forward and backward, things that are in sequence like 0 through 8, stuff like that. So that's going to be your fancy serial numbers, and something to look for and is collectible. On the redesign of a lot of Federal Reserve notes, they have two letters in the prefixes. The non-redesigned ones, which is $1 and $2 bills, are going to have just one letter in the beginning. So that's a little difference in the serial numbers. And then at the end, that we know that bills that were replaced are going to have a star note. Here's a date bill. So although it is in the future, this would be March 20th, 2774, which is not necessarily a birthday note. It's just to give you an example of how a date bill would be laid out. You'd have 2 digits for the month, 2 digits for the day, and then the year itself, since you have the ability to have a date in those 8 numbers and the serial numbers. As far as this bill is concerned, we can see that all of these bills are circulated. I got them throughout the day. You can see discoloration like on this one, where lots of hands have touched this bill. There's some foreign ink here, and little tears and rips and stuff. So far, through these first 4 or 5 bills, we haven't found anything super great. On the redesign bills that happened, I believe it was 2006 was when the redesign originally happened. They added a lot of different anti-counterfeiting features to newer bills. So that's stuff like this, where they have different colored ink and inlays in the actual material of the bill. We'll talk about those and other features, especially in regards to $20 bills, the video that's on the security features of the $20 bill. Here we have a 5. This is a newer one. You can tell because on the newer bills, 5s, 10s, 20s, 50s, and 100s, they have a historical depiction in the background. This is the Great Seal that says E Pluribus Unum on it. Nothing fancy with the serial numbers. In the printing of the 2 seals, your Department of the Treasury seal and your United States Federal Reserve System for Federal Reserve notes, those seem to be correct. Also, we know that down here is our signatures for the Treasurer of the United States and Secretary of the Treasury. If you want to see a relation sheet, it's an Excel sheet I put together. It's on the website, varietyerrors.com, that tells you the relation of serial numbers to series runs in bills. So that's something that's kind of cool too. Another $5 bill also folded up. Check out my video on $5 bills, on security features of them. This one, not a date bill or anything like that. It's also not a collectible serial number. And this bill is also kind of ripped up down here at the corner, as well as on the back has a smudge that I saw earlier, which would detract from value if it was collectible. Here's a nice folded up $1 bill. So like I said earlier, $1 bills have not gone through a major redesign, so their prefix on their serial number is just one letter, followed by one letter on the end there, which is the suffix of the serial number. And like I said, for 2013, especially on ones, we see a lot of over-inking on the third digit there. Some good repetition with 6s, but nothing collectible. Spin this little pile around, 'cause it seems like I kind of have it upside down. Lots of folds in these bills. They've been, I'm sure, in lots of pockets and purses and stuff like that. Let's set this down so you can see it a little bit more. Same deal on the Series 2013. We can see that there's a little over-inking on the third digit there, especially on ones. That's very common on $1 denomination bills. But nevertheless, we also know that the seal here on a $1 bill for the Department of the Treasury is pretty much printed over top of the word 1, whereas on a lot of other bills it's kind of interlaced in the actual lettering. That is part of the design, but a little bit different. You can also see a lot of variation on ones where the seals are printed slightly askew. That's a little bit more collectible. Look through here, I'll kind of shoot through some of these. Reverse the bill. Seems pretty good. Really folded up on these. Series 2009, we got a little heavy inking on the 5, but that's not really super collectible unless it's just protruding through the other side or whatever. We can see it's a little off printed, like I said, with some 2009, 2006, and 2013 bills. Here's another kind of date bill, March 3rd, but of course this is way in the future. If you're a fan of the Foundation series by Isaac Asimov, then I guess, you know, they talk about dates that run all the way into the future beyond the 2000s, so good book series also. Let's see. Lots of folds and lots of condition problems with some of these bills. So even if they were collectible, we of course would know that would detract from value, as many of you comment about when I find stuff in videos, which is great. Almost, if we had a 3 in here, and with the exclusion of this 5, we'd have a broken ladder in some forms, but not really. So nothing collectible there. This has been super folded. Like I said, extra inking on the third number there. That's very common. This is printed a little bit over, but nothing really. It's probably just got a skew when getting printed in production there. So we'll just keep moving on. Nothing I see crazy here. Reverse of the bill. Everything's all good on that one. Really trying to come across some really good radar bills or repeater bills would be really cool. Also 2013. This has been folded twice. So I guess I'll spin this pile back around since now we're another direction. Haven't found a decent date bill yet or anything like that. Once again, see, this is a little bit thicker printed on the left-hand side than the right-hand side, but not collectible. When it comes to bills, there's kind of, unless they're older bills, and it needs to be kind of a fancy serial number or very apparent error. Another thing about my bill or my video on the security features of bills, we'll talk about these interlaced threads here. Those are something that has to do with anti-counterfeiting. So it's kind of interesting, so check out that video if you're into that kind of stuff. These bills were actually in sequence, so that's kind of cool. You don't really come across that too often when you don't get them from a bank. Here's a date bill. So in the description box, I'll put in something historical on that date. This is July 17th, 689, so it's definitely, as far as the date is concerned, that this makes in the serial number, is quite in the past, but we'll try to find something cool that happened on that date, and I'll put it in the description box. Nothing crazy here. No star notes so far or anything like that, so we'll kind of move on quickly from those. A little bit of repetition, but nothing great on this 5. I like the newer designs of 5s and 10s and 20s, so on and so forth, that have gone through a redesign. This looks like ink from a bank strap, just rubbing on it. Everything else seems, I really like I was saying, the designs. They're very enhanced as far as the depictions on the bills now. I like that a lot. I think that's very cool. As far as, and it's also kind of plays into that anti-counterfeiting part of it, so that's really important as well. It's very beat up 2013. It's definitely been ran through a washer or a dryer, one of the two, or gotten wet in the rain. $20 bill. You can see kind of the different layouts of bills as we go through these with different denominations. And we see a star note. I'll talk about that in a second. Nothing here. This is actually a date bill, too. This is November 4th, 1267, so we'll find something cool and put it in the description box. It's also a star note, which is nice. That means the bill got screwed up somewhere in production, they replaced it, and annotated it with a star. A little bit more collectible, and it is a date bill, so we'll see if something historically profound happened on that date, and I'll put it in the description box. Set that one aside also. Getting down there, so a little bit of repetition, but nothing to call home about. This one does not have the infamous over-inking on the third numeral there, so we'll kind of leave that the way it is. As far as being a little uncommon, I guess, since the common part would be an over-ink on the third number, but not collectible. And lastly, a $1 bill. Good repetition of sevens, but not a date bill, not enough to really be a fancy serial number, and this thing's pretty beat up from being in people's hands quite a bit. So we'll kind of scoot back to what we found. Found 2 date bills. I know those aren't as collectible, but this one's a date bill, and then of course it's also a star note, which makes it a little bit nicer. Could probably sell it for a slight premium, but it wouldn't be anything crazy. It'd be a couple bucks, you know, on an auction site or whatever. I'll look at these a little bit more closely. Another thing is, if we get really close, that overrun in ink here is very common, so it's not something that's collectible in my opinion, unless it's like totally obscuring a letter or it's way off or something. But the star note makes it a little bit more collectible. You can see a premium on those online when people sell them, but I'll probably just throw this back into circulation by spending it on groceries later. But definitely cool. I'll put the historical, if anything cool historically happened, I'll put it in the description box. But thank you for checking out another bill searching video. We found some minor stuff, but we'll be on the hunt for something totally awesome in the next video, so stay tuned for variety and errors. Thank you and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.